Alright, so I'm sitting right here just checking out this episode of GOAT Talk on Complex, and we already know what the GOAT represents in the entertainment industry. And as you see here for the thumbnail, esoteric. You see this guy right here, Rallo Rodriguez, with the orange hat, and you see Lil Baby with the Masonic pose. And it's crazy with this subject talking about goats because Rallo Rodriguez says, let me just play it because it's very interesting here.
GOAT female rapper.
Damn. Greatest of all time. Like rapper though. Rapper not like
Damn, I
Beyonce.
ain't know the GOAT means greatest of all time.
You know that?
No. So you just said it.
How did you know
I
GOAT
swear to God, I ain't know that, bro. I just thought you the GOAT.
Yeah, what do you think the GOAT means?
It's a GOAT. I don't know. I always think that, like, what the hell is a GOAT?
The greatest of all time.
Now I get it now. And one day I was like, damn, I ain't want to be a GOAT.
But rap.
So either this man right here is capping, or it just lets you know that there's a certain level of program that's strong and prominent with these artists, especially when it comes to certain aspects of what they wear and what they say. So he says that he don't know what GOAT mean, but he just went with the flow of the whole GOAT term and how it took on a life of its own. But the man has album covers featuring a GOAT. So that just lets you know that the man is programmed. And the GOAT motif, the GOAT aesthetic represents the esotericism, the veneration system, the worship of the Baphomet, aka Pan. That's what it represents. That's why he has on an orange hat. The orange represents the number 33. It represents enlightenment, aka the GOAT, aka Saturn. So on and so forth. Lil Baby you see with the all white, which represents the left hand when it comes to the mother goddess. And on the subject here, when he talks about the GOAT, it's also going into the greatest female rapper, the GOAT rapper. So it's just interesting how this whole dynamic played out, just in terms of this revelatory aspect of Rallo Rodriguez being ignorant to what the GOAT represents or what GOAT means on the surface level, on the two-dimensional level. Obviously, they understand, or maybe they just programmed in a way where they get it on a subconscious level that the GOAT is something that they worship in the entertainment industry. The GOAT is their God. He says that he swears to God that he didn't know what GOAT meant. So that's just very interesting how this played out here. And what's more interesting, like I said, is the fact that he has album covers that features the GOAT. So it's kind of interesting. So as y'all can see, the contradictory element here, or not even contradictory, it's just some sort of programming that's pretty much prominent just when it comes to the subject at hand, Mr. Rallo Rodriguez. There has to be some sort of level of programming, because for him to say that he doesn't know what the GOAT means on the surface level, but you see him with these album covers where it says GOAT in human form, it just tells you that there's a certain level of programming. And it just represents this entertainment industry. They worship the GOAT. They have to, because it represents the Baphomet. The Baphomet goes back to Osiris, goes back to the sun god, ancient Kemet, so on and so forth. That's what it goes back to. They worship the GOAT. Even going back to the Bible, the GOAT represents sin. GOAT in human form, you see him half goat, half man. And he's showing obeisance to the GOAT. This is a part of the veneration system. He's feeding the GOAT. The GOAT is drinking out the cup of sin. That's what it represents. And I'm laughing because this shit is just crazy. Like, you see this wild shit? And also the black and white. Come on, bro. So this just speaks to the level of programming. Because most of these people, they under electroshock treatment. They under certain levels of programming to where some of it is really subconscious. So he probably was genuine when he said he didn't know, but when it comes to these images here, this is programming. This is like handler, you know what I mean? Like, this is programming. Pretty much not of his own volition to a degree. Another image where you see these entertainers showing obeisance to the GOAT. This is from the Beach Boys, from their album Pet Sounds. They feeding the goats, because this is a part of the worship, the veneration system. And I know the brother Chronicles, he did something on goats, and I think he featured this image right here too. So it just shows you how a lot of people we understand when it comes to this world, and you know the esoteric aspect of it is really strong, and it just speaks to you just when it comes to the spiritual aspect. It's an eye opener. And you see the Beach Boys is in yellow. The goat represents the sun god. That's what it represents. Polo G representing that Saturnian vibe, all black with the goat horns. Because Capricornus, that also goes back to Saturn. Lil Baby's album, I think this was his second album, if I'm not mistaken. My Turn, or maybe it was his first, but that's neither here nor there. You see the goats. This is an ongoing, constant thing because it represents the veneration system. The goats. And My Turn is in yellow. The yellow represents the sun god. So it just goes back to those esoteric leanings. It's like they gotta continuously show you these things. They have to. See, we already highlighted this in my coverage of the Count Me Out video, my little mini coverage of it. You see right here, this is the whole woodland theme. This is the whole Pan theme. This is what that represents. You see the goats, obviously, so just the constant theme of the veneration system.
What statement did LeBron and the Lakers make in this in-season tournament to the rest of the league?
Don't look at me, Stephen A. You look at this, Stephen A. You know who it is. It's Goat James. It's Goat James in the building, baby.
Yo, when I was watching this shit on TV, I was a little creeped out. I'm like, what the fuck? What am I looking at right now? It got some real Baphometic vibes right here. You see him with the staff, the Baphomet staff. That's what that represents. Like this dude, he really go to the ends with it. He take it way, way out there with it. He got the mask on. He let you know they worship the goat. Remember on Undisputed where he was feeding the goat, he bowed down to the goat, he got on one knee. Like Shannon is out there with it. It's crazy, man.
You know it's gonna just be a matter of time.
Where did you get that? Oh my God.
Take that off, man.
So good.
Take that.
So I just wanted to go into certain symbols in regards to the image of the Baphomet, the goat figure that's worshipped in the entertainment industry. The best known modern image of Baphomet was drawn in 1856 by the French occultist Eliphas Levi in his book Transcendental Magic, Its Doctrine and Ritual. He evangelized a winged hermaphrodite with a torch between his horns and a pentagram on his forehead. Yet a hermaphrodite represents the transgenders. Just when it comes to the aspect of Hermes and Aphrodite coming together, the opposites as above, so below. He evangelized a winged hermaphrodite with a torch between his horns and a pentagram on his forehead. Its arms bore the Latin words Salve A and Coagula, destroy and rebuild, separate and join together. These are Masonic concepts. And this is what you see play out in this overall world stage when it comes to the Hegelian dialectic. Destroy and rebuild. In regards to these narratives that play out, it's all based in the Hegelian dialectic, which goes back to these principles. The powers of binding and losing usurp from God, because when it comes to the concepts, God is Satan and Satan is God. Even going back to Aleister Crowley, who worshipped the Baphomet, who worshipped Satan. Levi's drawing was the inspiration for Satanic Temple's new monument. It contains all these binary opposites, above and below, part animal, part human. And going back to part animal, part human, just what we saw in the album cover for Mr. Rallo Rodriguez. He says he's a goat in human form. So, it just goes back to these concepts. Male and female, says Greaves. It embodies opposites and celebrates contrasts. The Caduceus, or the Caduceus, on the Baphomet's stomach is an old Greek symbol of two serpents entwined around a staff. The staff, which was carried by Hermes and heralds in general, yet a Greek god known as Hermes. In the intertwined serpents, it represents Boaz and Yakin. Boaz and Yakin is one and the same. And what was played out or represented Boaz and Yakin is Biggie Smalls and Tupac Shakur. Both quote-unquote Geminis, they both were running the same, hot and fire. Fire was still ice and ice was still fire in regards to the dynamic between Tupac and Biggie Smalls. It was all Masonic. The element between Tupac and Biggie Smalls, East versus West, red versus blue, so on and so forth, left versus right. The Caduceus symbolizes trade, negotiation, and reciprocity. It was co-opted into the Baphomet by Levi. For us, it symbolizes reconciliation of the opposite, such as having a satanic monument opposite a Christian one, says Greaves. We think that's a powerful message when it's sitting opposite the Ten Commandments. Yeah, that's all based in rebellion. That's all based in, the understanding of contrarianism, just when it comes to forward thinking. Also when it comes to the understanding of the apostasy, replicating that, that tower pretty much. We think that's a powerful message when it's sitting opposite the Ten Commandments. You can have these dualities, differences without conflict. In the end, we already understand what's to come. So conflict is is imminent. Conflict has to happen. At the end of the day, all these esoteric promotions or impositions, just when it comes to what we see now, is all based in what I'm reading. It's all based in these themes, these motifs, these quote-unquote gods. And the Baphomet, the hermaphroditic aspect, just representing that transgender promotion. This is why transgenderism is really pushed. And not only that, but I'm just speaking of that because of how it replicates the Baphomet. The two-finger salute, and this is a gesture that you see, it's not that prominent in the entertainment industry, but some artists, some celebrities, you see them with this hand gesture with the two fingers up and the two fingers down. Two fingers on the right hand pointing up and two on the left hand pointing down, meaning as above, so below. These words and the accompanying gestures are familiar to occultists. They are drawn from the ancient works of Hermes Trismegistus, whose writings became popular during the Renaissance and Reformation. The phrase is also used in relation to science, the universe, and God, which is all based in alchemy. But Levi wrote that by making the gesture, his Baphomet expresses the perfect harmony of mercy with justice. Torch between horns. The torch of knowledge is the middle horn. It glorifies the pursuit of knowledge. Yes, going into the Masonic concepts in regards to the paces up the stairs to enlightenment, the 33rd degree. That's why the fire, the torch, that's why the fire is so prominent in the entertainment industry. Or orange, it's all synonymous. It represents enlightenment. We put a high value on that. It's really central to our beliefs in general, says Greaves. As Levi wrote, the flame of intelligence shining between his horns is the magic light of the universal balance. The image of the soul elevated above matter as the flame, whilst being tied to matter, shines above it. Yes, representing enlightenment. Like when you look at the music video for Humble from Kendrick Lamar, there's like some sort of imagery of him with fire above his head, representing enlightenment. It kind of like symbolizes some sort of halo. That's why they wear orange hats. The orange hats, it goes back to this, the understanding of enlightenment. And also the number 33 for orange. Orange represents the number 33, which means enlightenment. This right here is kind of like a thinly veiled representation of the torch of knowledge, just when it comes to the understanding of what this represents on many different levels or layers in regards to the understanding of the crown. You see a halo also there. See the crown or the halo, it represents enlightenment. Just when it comes to this image right here, because this is twofold. This not also is a crown, but it's a halo. In between the horns, the horn and the halo theme, it represents that duality aspect. That's why you got this album Born Sinner, but I die better than that. So this goes back to the torch in between the horns when it comes to the understanding of the Masonic paces or the principles, the path to enlightenment. And J. Cole also, he represents the understanding in regards to, you know, the Masonic principles, just when it comes to album covers, certain music videos. I think it was a video for Punching the Clock, where he was in the yellow cab. The yellow cab represents that path to enlightenment. And when he was in a cab, you saw, you know, the yellow light, or the light in general, hovering over him. Not the yellow light, but just the light. It was hovering over his head because that represented the halo. That represented that path to enlightenment. So all these themes is esoteric, man. It's esoteric. The Luciferian aspect of this world is prominent, especially when it comes to the upper levels, like these entertainers.